All right, welcome back to another one of our film reviews. Today we are talking New Orleans Saints rookie left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. Banks burst onto the scene his first preseason game and he impressed everyone. Saints not getting a lot of media attention outside their quarterback position battle, but I tell you what, folks, this young left tackle is already a star. This was a great selection by the Saints. He's got a bright future. We'll break down everything he did so well and what it means going forward. As always, in the comment section below, give us any feedback plus any other players you want us to break down. But without further ado, let's jump right into the film. All right, we're going to open up with some pass rush, and there is Banks right there on the left side of your screen. So we're going to get a one-on-one opportunity because the Saints here, they're going to slide the protection to the right side of the offense. The center is going to take this gap. Right guard's going to take this gap. Right tackle's going to take this gap. We're going to get one-on-one on the backside. One-on-one left guard on that defensive tackle. Line up in what we call a 2-eye, and one-on-one right here. Banks on the edge rusher. We're going to get a little pre-snap motion by the receiver across the formation, but that's not going to affect the protection at all. It's going to be mano-a-mano. Banks on this defensive end, and Banks, folks, he wins easily. Let's check it out. There's the snap. You can see the center, right guard, and right tackle all sliding the gap to the right. You can see number 70, Trevor Penning, the left guard, moving over to go one-on-one on that defensive tackle. Let's look at Banks right here. One-on-one on this edge rusher. Love the patience, right? Let's go start to finish here. Patient, patient, patient. Strike, lower your hips. Good pass pro, right? This is technique tape kind of stuff. The only complaint I have is his punch misses and goes a little bit high up near the helmet, the face mask area. Every once in a while, you'll get a penalty called against you. But in terms of timing, punch, I love how calm he is, right? He trusts his strength and his athleticism. He lets the defensive end come to him. He gets out both horizontally and vertically. A lot of tackles, they have to get a lot of vertical depth because they don't trust their athleticism. You'll see over here, number 75. See how he gets a little bit more vertical in his pass set? Banks right here goes diagonal, right? He trusts his athleticism. He says, I'm a superhuman gift in terms of having my foot speed and foot quickness, in terms of being as big and as strong as he is. And that's exactly what you get when you're this kind of confident in your technique, this kind of confident in your athleticism. Great punch, drops his hips there. Nicely done. Across the board, elite level pass pro from the rookie. All right, from the wide copy, you're going to see Banks right there at left tackle. One-on-one on this edge rusher. We get the motion across the formation pre-snap. Again, love his patience. Patience, patient, patience, strike. So good. Again, this is a guy who played against a lot of great edge rushers coming out of Texas, playing SEC ball last year, played against a lot of first-round picks, a lot of guys doing a lot of good things already in the preseason. You throw an NFL body across from him, no worries at all. He's been going up against these guys in practice for years at Texas, and you can tell, just so calm, so methodical. I love how he has the one preliminary punch right there to slow the momentum, and then gets his second hand inside right there, and then just completely locks down the defender. There is nothing you can do as an edge rusher. There's no counter to this, right? Once he gets on you like this, there's nothing you can do. Edge rushers, sometimes they like to go vertical and then get a little power, a little speed to power move, as I like to call it. But when you have a tackle that's getting out to you horizontally, as well as vertically, there is no speed to power transition. He cuts you off at the pass. That's what we see here. Phenomenal rep from the rookie. All right, sticking with pass protection, there's Banks right there, of course, at left tackle. So he's going to do his normal kick slide like we saw in the previous play, looking for someone to come off the edge, and no one comes, at least initially. So Banks then helps inside. We're going to have a one-on-one right here, number 70 on this defensive tackle, and he delivers a powerful punch and then settles in, ends up picking up someone coming around. It's a really incredible job here by Banks. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap, kick slide, waiting for someone to come. No one's coming. Hey, look for work. Punish a defensive tackle, and then pick up the linebacker. This is perfect, guys. This is awesome. Again, he's waiting for someone to come off the edge. No one comes. Immediately goes looking for work. You're not paid to guard grass. Put some of these defenders in the turf, right? Some guy wants to rush the passer. You put a helmet in his ribs, and you send him to the ground, right? Listen, man, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Your NFL dreams, you end against Banks. And that's exactly what you want from a left tackle, this mentality. I'm going to put somebody in the dirt, and I'm going to pick up a blitzer, give my quarterback time to scramble. Now, if you want to see a really interesting play here, let's check out the center right here, number 68. So he kind of gets beat there, recalibrates, and ends up with like a pancake wrestling takedown here. I mean, this is one of the craziest blocks I've seen in a long time. Quarterback scrambles because he sees all this chaos in front of him. I almost don't blame the quarterback, although if you look at his pocket right here, I mean, he could have stepped up easily to try to find someone downfield. But again, let's look at Banks. Calm, methodical, powerful. Knocks a guy down there. I love this help. And then picks up another rusher. It's one thing right here to deliver a great punch, great help. It's a whole nother thing to then pick up someone else coming 2 for 1 here for the rookie. All right, from the wide copy, you can see Banks right here at left tackle. Watch him. No one comes. Pushes that guy to the ground and picks up the blitzer. This is so good, guys. because he's checking for anyone off the edge, right? Whether it's this guy or a linebacker, no one comes initially, immediately go looking for work, put him in the ground, and then pick up the guy that does come. I can't tell you how hard this is to do all of this in about a second and a half. This is incredible processing, athleticism. Kick slide, transition to helmet to ribs, takedown, and then pick up another blitzer. Great work from the rookie. Gets a little caught in some traffic right there, but still, nice play. All right, let's go to the running game. There's Banks right there lined up at left tackle where he'll be this entire cut up. This is one of the more athletic plays I've seen from any offensive lineman this far through the preseason. Granted, it's early. It's only been 1 week, but still, this play's pretty impressive. So you're going to get kind of a zone double team. So what Banks is going to do right here, he's going to provide some help on this defensive end, working up to the next level so that way number 70 can come over here and reach this 4-eye 5 technique, whatever you want to call him, lined up. I think it's a 5 technique, lined up on the outside shoulder of Banks right there. It's going to be a speed sweep across the formation just like this. A little motion pre-snap and then a handoff, again, trying to get a receiver on the edge. This is one of the crazier plays. Usually what ends up happening in terms of offensive line with these two guys, the best you can ever hope for is they get this guy reached. What Banks provides them when it's all said and done, he gets this guy reached and then gets up to the next level to get the play side linebacker. It doesn't look like anything crazy, but folks, this is something that is almost unheard of. Let's check it out. Motion. There's a speed sweep. They get defensive end reached up to the next level. One-on-one with the safety for a touchdown. And number 13, who is that? Effortless Jr. I mean, it's just awful. I won't dwell on him too much. That's a tough play for him. But again, this block right here, this sort of zone double team kind of reach takeover, this is bonkers level athleticism stuff. Now, you can make an argument this is a bad play by the defensive end and the linebacker, and that's fair, right? It's the preseason. These guys are far from perfect. But in terms of getting on your horse, moving, getting the job done, this is incredible. To reach this defensive end by yourself and then wait for the takeover of your guard here and then getting up to the next level, bonkers stuff. Again, it doesn't look crazy special. I guarantee you on the broadcast, they didn't talk about it at all, let alone for any sort of significant amount of time. But folks, this is a crazy good play by Banks. Showcases his athleticism and playmaking ability for the Saints. All right, from the wide copy, you're going to see 13 in motion. Watch 70 and 71. They reach the defensive end, get up to the linebacker. Crazy good stuff. I can't tell you how hard this is. Usually these two guys, best case scenario, like I said, all they do is reach this defensive end. Banks is such a good athlete. He gets out there in space and then hangs on the defensive end long enough for 70 to get over there. Then he works up to the next level. Great work by these two guys. All right, let's go back to some more pass protection. There's Banks, of course, at left tackle. A little bit more complex situation here, so we're going to get a stunt from the Chargers right there, the defensive end and their defensive tackle. How it's going to work is this defensive end is going to threaten vertically and then crash into the guard just like this, and then this defensive tackle is going to work vertically and then go around him just like that. It requires a lot of skill to handle off stunts like this, a lot of timing, a lot of repetitions. When you have a young rookie right here, usually that ends with some kind of issues, right? New to the NFL, it's hard stuff. Great athletes, you wouldn't know it. Looking at Banks, he does an incredible job. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see right away, it looks like a little bit of a normal pass rush, but you can see this defensive end. He's going to crash into number 70. Defensive tackle works around. Let's watch Banks cradle to grave here. Watch how he does. Gets into his kick step. Defensive end goes inside. He hands him off to his buddy, then comes off and picks off the defensive tackle. Perfect work, right? This is guys right here. Looks like people have been playing together for 5 years. Doesn't look like a rookie at left tackle now, does it? Very experienced. This is why I loved him coming out of college. This is why a lot of people did. I was far from alone. Top 10 pick, obviously. A lot of people liked him. But he has that SEC, Texas experience. Really well coached. Really fundamentally sound. He's like a vet out there. He reminds me of the Chargers when they drafted Joe Alt last year in the first round. Day one, massive contributor, really was an upgrade to their offense. A lot of people are really down on the Saints right now. A lot of questions at this position, the quarterback position. But I tell you what, left tackle is really important too, and the Saints got it right in Kelvin Banks. All right, from the wide copy, you can see Banks in number 70 right here. They do a great job handing this off. Banks specifically hands him off to his guard, picks off the defensive tackle. Look at the left side of the offensive line compared to the right. Like right here, pressure, pocket kind of collapsing, quarterback has to escape. Not great from the right side of the offensive line, specifically the center right there. You like a little more help with your guard too inside. So not great from that side. How about Banks and 70, the left side? How do they do it? Perfect pocket right there. Perfect. That's how you draw it up, guys. Again, this is what you get from a first-round guy like Banks, stepping up, being completely as advertised. He solves a massive problem. Left tackle, huge issue for the Saints for a number of years now. It's been solved by this rookie. All right, going back to the running game now, how about an outside zone concept? So what the Saints are going to do here is they're going to take number 13 in motion this direction pre-snap, and they're going to run outside zone this direction right here across the board, their entire offensive line, with the running back taking this track and trying to go north and south whenever he can. He can either cut it up inside, he can go a little further inside, or he can stay outside, depending on how the blocks shake out. So the goal of this motion, obviously here pre-snap, is to get these linebackers to hold or maybe get them working over this way. And then what the Saints are going to do up front is you're going to get an attempt at a base reach. We're going to get a zone double team here, working him to the next level, and then backside cutoff blocks again, trying to get this backside defensive tackle cut off and getting up to the next level. That's how it's supposed to work anyway, but this is an example of the Chargers. They get caught with an inside slant, so this defensive end actually jump inside just like that at the snap. Banks does a great job. He takes his zone step and then pins this defensive lineman inside. It's a play you have to make. If you can't make this play, you can't play at left tackle in National Football League. It's a check the box kind of play. Banks does a great job. Let's check it out. There's the motion. There's a snap. We can see the zone tracks up front for the Saints offensive line. You're going to see this defensive end slant into the B gap. Right there, Banks does a great job pinning him inside just like that. Running back's able to get outside for a really nice play. All starts up front, guys. You talk about a check the box kind of play. If this defensive end makes this mistake, and I think it's a mistake, and he goes inside, you've got to be able to pin him so that way your running back can get outside. If you can't get this done at the left tackle position, you can't play, right? It's that simple. People talk about pass protection and base blocking and things like that. That's really important. But this is one of those situations where the defense made a mistake. You've got to make them pay. If your left tackle isn't good enough, he can't play. And Banks, more than good enough. He gets it done at a high level. How about technique, right? Look at his pad level. Look how low he is right there. Again, his helmet at the shoulder pad of the defensive end. He's 6'4". He's listed at 6'4", but he plays with really good pad level. We'll have a great example of that going forward. Finishes the block as well. No holding. Really clean stuff. Hand inside. Doesn't do anything stupid there at the end. Really just fundamentally sound player. Again, he reminds me a lot of former Dallas Cowboy Tyron Smith, where he showed up day one as an elite, fundamentally sound, great athlete. I think that's exactly what the Saints got in Banks. All right, from the wide copy, watch the motion there. Watch Banks at the top of the screen. Watch him pin this defensive end inside. Running back's able to get outside for a big play. Again, perfectly executed. Check in the box. This is how you get it done right here. This defensive end here, he had to make a mistake. This can't be what he was supposed to do because he leaves the outside completely unattended. Either he made a mistake or this linebacker made a mistake and he was supposed to fly over the top. It's really hard to tell. I have no idea what the Chargers called in their defensive huddle. But right here, Banks, when that opportunity is there, you got to secure that edge, and he does a great job of it. Stays on him long enough. Again, doesn't draw a penalty. Nice work from 71. All right, how about more one-on-one pass pro? There's Banks, of course, at left tackle. He's going to be one-on-one on this edge defender once again. We're going to get one-on-one on the backside here with the left guard, number 70, on that defensive tackle, because the Saints, they're going to slide their protection to the right. So the center's going to take that A gap. This right guard's going to take that B gap. This right tackle is going to take this C gap right here. Again, when you have a great left tackle, young guy, rookie, first appearance, but they have such a high level of trust on him, you can leave him one-on-one on the backside because he delivers great results. Let's check it out. There's motion. There's a snap. You can see one-on-one on the backside. Let's compare Banks to number 70 right here. And I don't want to pick on him too much, but look at him. High, kind of all over the place a little bit, little unsure of himself, right? Still trying to figure things out. How about the right guard, center right guard, right tackle here? You know, okay, solid, but still trying to figure things out, right? I think 51's a good player, but they're solid. They're effective. 75's a young guy. I think he's going to get better, but they're okay. There's nothing special there. It's a good, solid group. 70's got some technical issues, but, you know, that's not great footwork or a great body position. But you know what? They've got some fight up front. But let's look at Banks. Completely different. Calm, cool, collected. Strike. Perfect technique. Stays on him. Look at this base. Look at his pad level. Extension. Bench pressing. Riding him upfield. There's a difference between having fight and being really good. This is what Kellen Moore, new head coach of the New Orleans Saints, had at tackle. I believe it was right tackle with Lane Johnson, right, in terms of what they had. Lane Johnson was so good, so easy for him to play tackle, did it at such a high level that it allowed them to get away with some other deficiencies. They could just be feisty up front. They could be physically tough up front, like number 70 is, like 51 is. They could, you know, get away with some young guys like 75 still trying to figure things out. When you're elite at one of these tackles, it gives you a lot of wiggle room, and that's what Banks is. I know it's one preseason game, guys. I know it's early, but he's playing at a very high level. All right, from the wide copy, you can see the motion right there. Watch Banks. He's so calm, so cool, so collected. Good strike right there. Looks like maybe that defensive end can get by him, but he gets his hands on him, walks him upfield, runs him upfield. No problem for Banks. It's so effortless for him, right? That's what the great tackles make it look. They make it look easy. I think 75 is a pretty good player on the right tackle, right? I really think it is, but he looks a little bit more chaotic, like he's still trying to figure things out. It's not quite as easy for him. Banks, already, NFL, doesn't matter, just like college. So easy, calm, cool, collected, methodical, great rookie right here. All right, let's end on one of the worst plays the Saints had in their first preseason game, but it was still a very good play for Banks. So this is going to be the 4th down and goal from about the 1.5 yard line, where they run it up inside and get totally blown up, get nowhere close to the end zone. Banks in this situation, he's just going to base block on this defensive end. And what you're taught as a tackle, especially in short yardage goal line, is if this defensive end crashes down inside, you've got to get your helmet on his hip and bury him down. You got to keep a very low pad level. That's what you're taught to do. It is incredibly hard, especially if you're a tackle in a 2-point stance like this. Call it a 2-point stance because his hands are right there on his knees. 3-point stance is when you've got your hand on the ground just like that, for any of you guys who aren't familiar with that terminology. So when you're this high up to begin with and you go and base him like this, you just naturally raise your chest up a little bit. When this guy slants inside, sometimes he can get penetration. He can get in the backfield a little bit. That's why the Chargers did this. But the way that works for the Chargers is when they slant him inside, Banks gets lower. He gets his helmet in his ribs and buries him down inside. Impressive block by the rookie. Let's check it out. All right, little motion, little handoff inside, and that's just a disaster. Oh, my goodness gracious. 77 right here. You know how we talked about burying down inside? We'll get to 71 over here in a second. Look at 77. He catches, gives up penetration, right? This is what I was talking about before. This is the risk. Blows up the entire play. How about number 88 too, by the way? Tight end coming around. What the heck is that, guys? Ugh, that's tough. But let's compare 77 right here. He's playing hard. He's doing his best. I don't want to be too critical, but this is not a good rep. Gives a lot of penetration, blows the play up in the backfield, never stood a chance. Now let's look at 71. What happens here? Look at that pad level. Look at that movement. Look at that drive. This is what it's supposed to look like. When you have guys slanting inside, when you have guys lined up inside, you put your helmet in their ribs, in their hip, and drive them into the pile just like this, and you move your feet and you stay on them. This is perfect. I can't get over how perfect this is. I'm going to use that word. Very rarely am I going to use that word, but that's what Banks is right here. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. Compare him to 77, right? 77 is what a lot of tackles do. Very few can do it like Banks. Now, here's the crazy part, folks, and we talked about this entire cut-up. He can also be perfect on pass pro. He's also a great athlete in space. He's also very smart, very savvy. He checks every box. He is a future star at left tackle. He is the next great left tackle in the National Football League. Write it down. Let's look at this from the wide copy. You get a really good look at it right here as this guy slants inside. Watch him get low. Watch him drop his helmet and his pads. Look at that. That's, oh my goodness gracious. You cannot draw it up any better, guys. This is perfect in terms of goal line. He's in a 2-point freaking stance right here. I wish I could tell you guys how hard it is to do physically what Banks is doing here. Just athletically. Drop his pads, drop his hips, and drive into the end zone. Great work here from the rookie. Great future in front of him.